In the soft light of a self-help seminar room, surrounded by strangers eager to reinvent their lives, Claire met him. He wore a tailored navy suit, his voice calm, measured, soothing, the kind of tone you'd trust with secrets you hadn't told your therapist. Within minutes, he made her laugh. Within an hour, he had her talking about the trauma she'd buried for years. He didn't interrupt. He didn't judge. He just listened. And when he spoke, it was like he knew her, like he'd seen behind the layers even she hadn't dared to confront. He's different, Claire thought. Finally, someone who understands. Over the following weeks, he texted every morning. "Good morning, beautiful." He remembered small things: her favorite coffee, her childhood nickname, the date her father passed away. But slowly, so slowly she didn't notice, things shifted. He'd get upset when she talked to other men. "I just care about you. I don't want to see you get hurt again." He began making decisions on her behalf. "Don't waste your time with that job. I know what's best for you." And when she pulled away, just a little, he punished her with silence, withdrawal, accusations, until the vibrant, confident woman who once walked into that seminar, she was gone. In her place stood a confused, emotionally paralyzed version of herself, dependent, ashamed, afraid to speak her mind, because she didn't want to lose his approval. It would take Claire over a year to realize. She had never fallen in love. She had fallen into a trap. The man she met wasn't her person. He was a manipulator, a predator cloaked in kindness. He didn't want her heart. He wanted control. And the weapon he used, not force, not fear, charm. Because in a world full of wolves in suits, the most dangerous ones are the ones who make you feel safe. Think about the last time someone made you feel special. So special that for a moment you forgot to question anything. That's the hidden power of charm. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't demand, it disarms. And worst of all, it feels good. You see, charm is not love. It's not kindness. It's performance. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon for decades. It's called the halo effect. The moment we perceive someone as physically attractive, well-dressed, or socially smooth, we subconsciously assign them virtues they may not possess: intelligence, morality, empathy. But here's the catch. Those things aren't linked. The charming coworker might also be the one sabotaging your reputation behind your back. The persuasive leader might be selling dreams while stealing your future. Charm works because it bypasses logic and speaks directly to emotion. It makes us feel chosen, validated, important. And that feeling, being seen, is so intoxicating that we ignore the warning signs. One study from Princeton found that people form first impressions within 1/10 of a second. That's faster than the blink of an eye. And charming individuals, especially manipulators, know how to make that first impression count. They study you, mirror you. They say things like, "It's like we've known each other forever," or "No one else gets you the way I do." But what they're really doing is laying the foundation for control. Because once they have your trust, they don't need facts. They don't need to argue. They just suggest, and you follow. Not because you're weak, but because charm hijacked your brain's reward system, flooded you with dopamine. And that's the terrifying truth. The most effective manipulators don't fight you. They make you feel like they're on your side until you're too deep to leave. And by then, you're not just trapped. You're grateful to be. Not all manipulators wear the same mask. Some come as heroes, others as lovers, and some come as mirrors. But underneath, they're cut from the same cloth, masters of charm weaponized for control. Let's break down the 3 archetypes of charm-based manipulators. 1. The savior. They find you when you're at your lowest, grieving, unemployed, heartbroken. They offer help, guidance, comfort, but their kindness is a contract. They create dependency by doing just enough to make you feel like you owe them. Then comes the control. "Don't do that, I know better. I only want what's best for you." You feel guilty for questioning them because they were there for you. But their help isn't generosity, it's leverage. 2. The mirror. These are the ones who seem perfect because they reflect you, your interests, your jokes, your wounds. They seem like a soulmate, but they're not connecting. They're collecting. They use your stories to learn your fears, your hopes, your patterns. So when the manipulation begins, it's customized. They know what silence will hurt you most, what words will pull you back, because they're not who they say they are. They're a copy of you, used against you. 3, the ghost shaper. They come in intense, love bombing you with attention, praise, intimacy. Then without warning, they disappear. And just when you start healing, they return. Apologetic, passionate, convincing. This cycle of closeness and abandonment is not love. It's trauma bonding. Your brain gets stuck in a loop, craving their presence, fearing their absence, until you mistake the chaos for connection. These archetypes don't work by force, they work by design. They don't overpower you. They train you to walk willingly into the cage, smiling. And by the time you notice the bars, you're the one holding the lock. We live in a culture that idolizes charm. Smooth talkers win debates. Good-looking influencers shape opinions. Charismatic leaders get applause, even when their actions betray their words. But here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Charm is not a virtue, it's a tactic. And in the wrong hands, it's a weapon. Psychologist Robert Hare, an expert in criminal psychopathy, once said, if you're dealing with a psychopath, chances are you won't know until it's too late. They're born charming. That's their camouflage. They blend in. They make you feel safe. And while your guard is down, they strike. But they don't use fists. They use words, smiles, attention. And that's what makes them more dangerous than the openly toxic people. You never see it coming. These manipulators don't dominate you through fear. They seduce you through fantasy. They make you believe that you are the chosen one, that your connection is different, that they see something in you no one else can. But it's all part of the script, a rehearsed performance perfected over years. The cult leader, the abusive partner, the corporate predator, they all begin with the same opening act, charm. And we keep falling for it because we confuse charm with goodness, with sincerity, with love. But charm tells you what you want to hear. Integrity tells you what you need to hear. The next time someone seems too perfect, ask yourself, are they connecting with me or calculating me? Because in a world where everyone is trying to sell you something, the most dangerous deal is the one you never realized you agreed to. Scroll, like, double tap. We tell ourselves it's harmless, just entertainment, just connection. But what if I told you, social media isn't just where we spend our time. It's where we're being conditioned to respond to charm, to mistake performance for authenticity, to reward the people who know how to manipulate your emotions better than you do. Because here's the truth. Social media is not a window, it's a stage. And charm-based manipulators? They've mastered the performance. Take the influencer who cries on camera about mental health, then sells you a detox tea 5 seconds later. The self-proclaimed coach who tells you you are enough, then convinces you to join their $999 workshop. The charismatic podcast host who seems vulnerable, real, relatable. But every word is crafted, every pause strategic, every story sharpened to maximize clicks. It's not conversation, it's conversion. Studies from the University of Michigan found that narcissistic traits are significantly more common among heavy Instagram users. But the more shocking stat, audiences consistently rated those users as more trustworthy, inspiring, and authentic. Why? Because we've been trained to mistake engagement for intimacy. When someone looks into the camera and tells you they care, it feels real. But they're not looking at you. They're looking at a lens. The cult of charm thrives online because algorithms are designed to reward emotional intensity, not integrity. Rage goes viral, tears get shared, and manipulation becomes content. The scariest part? It works. Your brain can't always tell the difference between a sincere connection and a carefully engineered illusion, especially when it's packaged in HD, color-graded, and soundtracked. So next time you're moved by a real talk video, ask yourself, is this a moment of connection or is it a moment of control? Because on social media, The most dangerous manipulator is the one who gets you to subscribe willingly. You've seen it happen. A friend trapped in a toxic relationship, an employee loyal to a boss who belittles them, a follower defending a guru who's clearly exploiting them. And you ask yourself, why don't they just leave? But here's the brutal truth. Charm-based manipulation doesn't change your body, it changes your mind. When someone uses charm to control you, they don't break you all at once. They erode you, bit by bit. It starts with validation. You're amazing. I've never met anyone like you. Then confusion. I didn't say that. You're overreacting. Why are you always so sensitive? Then dependency. You don't need anyone else. I'm the only one who truly understands you. This cycle is designed to destabilize your reality, to make you question your instincts, to train your nervous system to crave the highs and fear the lows. It's called trauma bonding, a psychological loop where abuse is intertwined with affection, and your brain, it gets hooked, like a gambler chasing a win after a dozen losses. Each moment of affection feels more powerful because it's rare. Each insult feels like your fault because they love you. The trauma becomes the connection, and the manipulator becomes the only one who can soothe the wound they caused. It's not weakness, it's conditioning. The same pattern seen in cult survivors, domestic abuse victims, and even political fanatics. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to remember who you were before them. That's the final cruelty of charm-based control. It doesn't just take your trust, it takes your identity. So when you ask, why didn't they just walk away? Remember this, they couldn't see the door because someone taught them that the cage was love. Manipulators don't come with warning labels. They don't announce themselves with red flags. They arrive with smiles, with warmth, with charm. But once you've seen behind the mask, you start to notice the patterns, the slips, the shadows in their words. Here are the signs, the subtle fingerprints of psychological manipulation. 1. You're always explaining yourself. Ever feel like you're constantly defending your choices, your tone, even your feelings? That's not a communication issue. That's gaslighting. A manipulator creates confusion, so you question your reality and accept theirs. 2. You feel indebted for their kindness. They do you a favor, and it feels transactional. They remind you, subtly or not, what they've done for you. Guilt becomes a leash, and soon you stop saying no because look at all they've given. 3. You're walking on eggshells. Not because they're violent, but because they're unpredictable. You filter your words, shrink your needs, dim your light, just to keep the peace. Peace that only exists on their terms. 4. You've lost yourself. You used to be confident. Now you second-guess everything. You used to have boundaries. Now you apologize for having them. You used to dream. Now you ask for permission to exist. These signs aren't just emotional bruises. They're evidence of a system, a silent architecture of control. And recognizing them is the first step to breaking free, because manipulators can only operate in the dark. But once the lights are on, they either run or reveal who they've been all along. So ask yourself, not do they love me, but do I feel safe, whole and free when I'm with them? If the answer is no, you're not in a relationship, you're in a cage. So, what do you do when you realize you've been played? Not just fooled, but deeply, psychologically manipulated. Your memories twisted, your boundaries erased, your self-worth outsourced to someone who never truly saw you, only what they could extract. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Breaking free from charm-based manipulation isn't about willpower. It's about reprogramming, because your nervous system has been wired to associate love with tension, with unpredictability, with a high followed by a crash. So when real kindness shows up, calm, consistent, boring even, you might reject it because it doesn't feel like love. It doesn't match the emotional roller coaster you were conditioned to crave. This is where the work begins, the reclaiming. Step 1, name the game. Give language to the experience. Say the words out loud. I was manipulated. I was trained to serve someone else's narrative. Naming the behavior is like turning on the lights in a haunted house. Suddenly, the ghosts aren't so scary. Step 2, detach with clarity. Do not seek closure from them. Closure is a form of control manipulators weaponize. Your peace does not require their explanation. It only requires your decision. I will no longer give my energy to someone who thrives on my confusion. Step 3, rebuild from within. Reconnect with the person you were before them, before the self-doubt, before the apology reflex. Start small. What do you enjoy? What makes you feel grounded, safe, real? And finally, surround yourself with mirrors that reflect truth, not illusion. Friends who challenge you with love. Spaces where you don't have to perform, because freedom isn't just about walking away. It's about walking back to yourself. Manipulators thrive on one thing: incompleteness. They target your cracks, your doubts, your hunger to be loved, to be seen, to be enough. And they offer themselves as the missing piece, the cure, the answer. But here's the secret they fear you'll discover. You were never missing anything. You were just taught to believe you were. In the words of Carl Jung, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because once you do, manipulators lose access. They can't guilt you if you're not ashamed. They can't control you if you don't crave their praise. They can't hurt you if your self-worth isn't something they gave you. This is the power of wholeness. It's not perfection. It's not a constant high. It's the quiet, steady knowing that you are already enough. Wholeness means you stop mistaking emotional chaos for passion. It means you no longer confuse attention for affection. It means you recognize that being chosen by someone manipulative isn't a compliment. It's a red flag. But here's the paradox. To reach wholeness, you often have to shatter. You have to lose the false self they trained you to be, the agreeable one, the apologetic one, the edited version of you that fit inside their story. Then, piece by piece, you rebuild. Not with charm, not with approval, but with integrity, self-respect, and truth. Because the opposite of narcissistic control isn't submission, it's sovereignty. It's standing tall in your own presence and saying, I belong to no one but myself. In a world full of psychological predators, your greatest defense isn't resistance. It's unhackability. Unhackable people aren't immune to charm. They simply recognize it for what it is, an invitation to play someone else's game. And they decline, because they no longer seek permission to feel worthy. They don't perform for validation. They don't need to be chosen when they've already chosen themselves. So how do you become unhackable? You cultivate emotional boundaries so clear, they become energetic. You stop explaining your no. You stop shrinking your yes. You study patterns more than promises. You pay attention to how someone reacts when you disappoint them, because that's when the mask slips. You ask harder questions. Am I safe with this person, or just addicted to how they make me feel? You measure relationships not by intensity, but by stability, by freedom, by whether you can exist fully as yourself without fear. Because here's the final truth. Charm doesn't make someone valuable. It makes them persuasive. And you don't need persuasion. You need peace. You don't need the perfect story. You need the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You don't need someone who tells you you're whole. You need to feel it in your bones, even when you're alone. That's what makes you unhackable. So I'll leave you with this. You are not the broken thing they claim to fix. You are not the character in their story. You are not the mirror they used to admire themselves. You are the author, the voice, the entire book. And when charm tries to rewrite your story again, close the chapter, turn the page, and write a new ending. On your own terms.